So let's talk about the Sphere a little bit. When do you recall getting first word that the UFC is doing a card at the Sphere? Do you recall sort of the earliest time that got on your radar?
That's a good question. So I fight Cheeto March. Maybe I don't know when Dana kind of announced that the Sphere was gonna happen. Like, I don't know. Probably very shortly after he announced it. I don't know the exact dates, but I feel like it was 16 to 20 weeks out from the fight, because I remember thinking, like, I want on that card. I want to headline that card. And I remember thinking, I'm like, oh, damn, that's still like 16 weeks out. Still like far out. So I kind of did a prep camp from 16 to 12 weeks out just in case. And then still didn't hear about the fight. Like I was told, like, we might do you guys, we might not, I don't know. So from 12 to like 8 weeks, I was in camp just in case. Like, I didn't know if I was fighting or not, but I was in camp doing everything I would do as if I were in camp, because I had a good feel. I was very optimistic. You know, UFC was like, hey, we're not exactly sure what we're doing. Like, it could be you guys, but it might not be, so don't get your hopes up. So I was training, you know, putting it out there, like, I'm doing it. You know, I'm fighting at the Sphere. I had to quit saying that because people were like, oh, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm saying that because I'm trying to manifest it. I'm not actually. And then Merab was posting a bunch of stuff that he was fighting at the Sphere. So it's like, we almost forced you. I don't know what I want to say, forced UFC to put us on there, but like we both were heavily pushing for that fight at the Sphere.
What about it intrigues you so much?
It's a once in a lifetime. I mean, it's back in Vegas. I haven't fought in Vegas in 2 years. I love fighting in Vegas. You know, I fought at the Apex. I fought at the Ultimate Fighter House on my Contender Series. I fought at T-Mobile. I fought at the Park MGM or some little event, a venue, my UFC debut. So I fought 4 different places in Vegas. I'm like, man, that'd be sweet to fight in a different spot in Vegas and to be the Sphere. There's never done a combat sports fight or event in the Sphere. So, yeah, I mean, everyone wanted it. Max and Neely wanted it. Conor wanted it. Like, everyone, all the big stars wanted to get on that fight card. I mean, Dana's claiming they're never going to do it again, so that's history right there.
When did you find out? Like, how did they tell you that you were going to be headlining the Sphere?
It was after a hard training session. I think it was like a hard training session. I just got out of the cold plunge. I had missed a call because I was training. Got out of the cold plunge, looked at my phone. I was like, oh shit, Hunter called. This is it. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. I call him back and he doesn't answer. I was like, a couple minutes goes by. He calls me back. He's like, you really want it? And I said, I really want it. I want that fight. I want that card. And he said, you got it. So it was, I felt like I was just waiting for that call. I felt like I had it. I felt like it was us. So it felt good to make it official, to hear it from the UFC. It's happening. It felt really good.
Why do you think it ultimately was you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You'd have to ask Hunter or Dana, like, why us? Maybe Elia or Max had something going on. Maybe they thought I would sell better in the United States for pay-per-view. I mean, they're in Abu Dhabi. They got their fight announced. Yeah, you'll have to ask them.
You think, like, you already picturing stuff for the walkout and planning anything special, or like, how much of the Sphere sort of element of it are you trying to take ownership of and do some stuff with?
We flew out a couple Mondays ago. Merab and I had the face-offs in front of the Sphere and did some really different promotion stuff, walking on treadmill, blue screen, green screen, this, that. Did a lot of stuff like that we don't usually do. So I think, you know, it's going to be epic, but you know, for me, it really is just another fight. I got a job to do, and I'm going to do what I've been doing my entire career.
Tell me about Merab Dvalishvili.
Merab Dvalishvili. 9-fight win streak, was the top guy in the UFC for a long time at bantamweight because Aljamain Sterling, his best friend, was the champion at the time, and they were not going to fight. So Merab was the gatekeeper. He was, you know, beating the next best guy, beating the next best guy, beating the next best guy, and you know, wanted the title shot but didn't want to fight Aljo. So it was nice of me. I went out there, knocked Aljo out. Could have fought him next, but I was like, I'm going to get that Cheeto fight back real quick, make sure that undefeated record goes back to that undefeated record. So I erased that one off my record and had to do that real quick. Did that in March. So now it's time. It's me versus Merab. It's time. It's a big fight in the division. It's a huge fight in the UFC right now. like I said, Merab's on a 9-fight win streak, like massive win streak, beating the top guys, not beating Scrub, beating the best guys in the world. And it's very, very stylistically different fights. I'm a striker. He's a wrestler. He said he's going to strike with me, probably because he can't wrestle with me. I don't know why else he would say that. So we'll see.
What do you feel like has been the fan reaction to it? I mean, you've been involved in fights where everyone was saying that you're going to clobber this guy, and then you've been on the opposite end of that, you know, where people are saying Petr Yan was going to be way too much for you. What do you think? What are you feeling is like the reaction, the fan reaction, the expectations to this matchup?
Well, this fight, I am technically an underdog. I guess it's just usually my fans are always in my comments, or when I go live on chat, like stream, it's like yo, you're gonna knock Merab out, you're gonna sleep Merab. So I've been seeing that a lot, but I'm also the underdog. So it's like it's like 50-50, like what people are thinking right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is the fight where we never talk about your wrestling again. Either you have it or you don't, and we find out in this fight, right? Is that sort of how you look at it?
No, I don't think so. I don't think he's going to test my wrestling. I don't think he's going to be able to, like Aljo, I guess you could say I tested my wrestling a little bit, had me up against the fence twice, didn't take me down once. I feel like that was a huge win to answer questions about wrestling. Cheeto didn't even try to take me down once. So that was like, nothing. That was the cardio question. Never had been 5 rounds. Can he do that? Did it. Boom. I don't think Merab is going to be the one to test my wrestling, to be honest. I don't think he's going to. I truly believe I'm going to put his lights out very early.
Very early. I mean, you're always very confident, and you've made predictions before. What about him gives you the sense that this one won't last long?
Styles, like just I know I can knock anybody out. I just believe he's going to make. It only takes one mistake. Aljo made a mistake, got his lights put out. Cheeto wasn't able to put his lights out. Very, very, very tough dude. But I was able to find his chin quite a bit. And I believe if I find Merab's chin the way I was finding Cheeto's chin, the way I found Aljo's chin, I'm gonna get him out of there. I mean, look at my last however many fights. I mean, I dropped Petr Yan, dropped Aljo, I dropped Cheeto. People say I didn't drop him. At the end of the second round, I hit him and he took a knee. They said that wasn't a drop. I'm like, well, what's the definition of a drop? Did he just take a knee because it was like part of his game plan? He was gonna trick me. He was gonna trick me. I'm gonna take a knee in the middle of a fight. Maybe I'll put my hands down and not know what's going on. I dropped him. And first round dropped Thomas Almeida. First round dropped Eddie Wineland. First round dropped Jose Quinones. I dropped Moutinho. I know people are like, oh, those are completely different people. I find people's chins. That's what I'm saying. I find people's chins. I do. And I'm going to find Merab's chin. He's a huge head, a huge nose. It'd be hard for me. I could try to not hit him, and I'd still accidentally probably hit him. That's how huge his head is.
A lot of us will be talking about his cardio leading up to the fight. What do you make about the gas tank and the pace that he puts on guys?
Yeah, Merab has a very good gas tank when he's doing what he wants to do. When he's picking how the fight goes, he has a good gas tank. I'm just completely different. His last fight against Petr Yan. Petr Yan's 5'4", flat-footed, stands there with him. Exactly how Merab wants someone to fight. I'm 5'11", call it 6'2", long. I'm gonna be sniping him. It's not gonna be a good fight for Merab.
Yeah. I ask you this every time we talk. What's been the difference since Miami? Obviously, every fight has been bigger. Miami, obviously a really, really big one. The performance was great. How have things changed since Miami? How has like the status of you changed since Miami?
You know what? It's just kind of. I think. Yeah, after the fight, I just was ready to. I just kind of wanted to get healthy and book another fight. Like it's just, I'm in that headspace to where I want to be in camp. I want to be fighting. So, just get healthy. Had little nagging injuries, and we're just waiting around, waiting to get the fight booked. Got the fight booked, and just been in camp. So, I'd say my confidence has changed. I feel like every fight, I mean, knocking out Aljo, confidence boosts are huge. Going 5-5s with Cheeto, who's very tough, very durable, very good cardio. Like Cheeto doesn't suck. I wouldn't say he's super great. He's really, really good. But still, going 5-5s against a very durable guy. Confidence is at an all-time high.
I mean, we've talked about this before as well, but you're at a point now where like you're not chasing a belt, you have the belt. So what is sort of like the goals? Is it like what are the goals? Do you still, and you used to write them down, right? You still write down?
Still what?
Still write them down?
Oh yeah, I still journal. What's the goal? I mean, the goal was to become champ. To say I've become champ, but like I think even if I lose my belt and I fight next, my fight's gonna be just as big, if not bigger, than whoever's fighting for the title. I've made a name in the sport that I can do that. Very few people get to the point to where they're like their fight, whether it's a title fight or not, is just as big as a championship fight. That's where I wanted to get. I wanted to get to a point to where no matter where I'm fighting, 45, 35, title, no title, like my fight was going to be a big fight, and I was going to get paid accordingly, and that's where I'm at right now. So, yeah, I would love to go out there and defend the belt 1, 2, 3 more times. Maybe go up there, fight Elia, fight Max, winner of that fight. I would love to be able to go box someday. I think that's something I've been saying for a long time. People are sick of me saying it, but I mean, if you're going to ask me questions, I'm going to answer it. That's something I'd like to do someday, test my boxing skills.
When do you think you got to that point where you could win or a loss, but people would still be like, if that's a Sean O'Malley fight, I want to see it? When did you reach that point?
I mean, I think a little bit early on-ish, maybe after the Peter Yan fight, I think I kind of was like that, but not, I think there's levels to that. There's like, I think I'm at a very high level right now of people would want to see even if I lose. Like, people are still going to want to see my next fight. I won the belt, defended the belt. I'm going to defend the belt again. So, 2 title defenses. I'm trying to think of other champions. You lose it quick, though. I mean, some people don't, you go out there, lose a couple fights. Tony Ferguson just lost his 8th fight in a row today. Absolutely mine. That is almost more impressive than his 12-fight win streak. Not really. I say that jokingly, but I mean, people still want to see Tony Ferguson. People still have hopes and dreams of him walking around with a belt on his shoulder. So it just depends what kind of fighter you are. I think right now I've delivered enough entertaining fights that I could, people are going to be excited for my fights for a long, long time.
I'm trying to find the right way to phrase this. Like, what is the the relationship? That's not the right word, but like the dynamic between you and Conor McGregor right now.
I thought it was good for a while. Something I would do something good, and he would kind of say, "Yeah, I look good," something like that. He never wanted to give me that that praise almost, because you go back to all my interviews, like I want to be like Conor, I want to fight, I want to do what Conor did, I want to do what Conor did. Now, I'm 29, defended the belt, something he's never done, by the way, and I just feel pure jealousy from it. It's really weird because times change. He's a little bit older now. He's on a 5-fight losing streak. He just pulled out because of his toe, which is just not Conor-like. So I feel a lot of jealousy from Conor McGregor, to be honest, which sucks. I hope I don't get bitter like that. Like, I hope once my career starts, maybe doing what his is doing. Well, I hope my career never does that. He's on a 4 or 5-fight losing streak. But, I hope once I'm a little bit older and I see someone else coming up that I'm excited for them, happy for them, almost maybe a mentor towards them, rather than just jealous and bitter because they have the spotlight and I don't. Like, Conor could still come back, fight Chandler, and do big numbers, but it's like, how many more losses? It's almost impressive how many losses he can do to keep coming back and get people's attention. But, speaking of big fights, that's a fight I wouldn't mind. I don't really call out big guys at 155, 170 because I know my role. I'm a 35er. But for me to be able to actually think I could beat Conor where he's at right now, I'm just being honest. I'm just saying the truth. I believe I could beat Conor McGregor. When your idols turn to rivals is a real thing, and that's, I've always praised him. Even after he took a couple shots at me, I was still like, God, I tried to hate Conor, but I couldn't. Right now, not a huge fan of Conor. The stuff that he was saying on Twitter, stuff that affected my life, really, and a lot of other people's life, and he's laughing at it, and then he goes and deletes it because he's on drugs, and people are like, hey, what are you doing? So, I think Conor, we're not on great terms.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that will be challenging when going from heavily in the spotlight and interviews and fights on a regular basis to whatever life looks like after that? That I mean, whatever. Even if you stay in the business and like you've seen DC and Bisping do their thing, but it's like you're not the superstar anymore. Do you think that that'll be tough for you someday?
We'll see. Sometimes I think about it. It's scary. Sometimes I think about it and I'm like, life will be good. Life will be all right. Life will be good. Again, have a bunch of kids. Like I've always wanted a bunch of kids. Like since I was in middle school, I've wanted a big family. So I think having a good sized family and just being a dad is gonna be plenty filling. But I do think there will be challenges that come with that. But if I keep doing what I say I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be I could be in the spotlight whenever. I mean, Conor, he can be in the spotlight whenever he wants. A couple tweets here going, he's doing his bare knuckle thing. He's doing that, like. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and find out.
The only time you guys have met in person was still the football game, right?
Yeah.
And I know you have, but can you describe just a little bit what the dynamic was like, and then compare it to like what you think the dynamic would be now?
I mean, he wanted me to sign to his agency. Like he was telling me, he was trying to tell me, hey, you can't just pick your fights. You got to fight anybody and everybody. If you want to be the best, you can't pick your fights. And I was like, I'm just saying yes to the UFC. And he's like, you got to come sign with us, me and Audi, your agency or whatever. MMA managers fucking suck though. Like they really do. They're horrible. Corey Sandhagen just fought Umar, ranked number 10. Corey was guaranteed a title shot. And he fucking went and fought Umar. Like bad management, in my opinion. So there's not, that's a whole nother story. But yeah, right now I don't think it would be. Like the dude's on drugs. Like if we met in person, I wouldn't want to fight right there. But the dude's probably pretty amped up. I'd like to, have a good squad with me. But yeah, I mean, I have no desire to meet him. I have no desire to talk to him again. Like, what are we gonna talk about? There's nothing to talk about.
Mm-hmm. I did want to ask, since you talked about Umar, what do you think? What do you think it would be like for you to have Khabib in the corner of your opponent?
Khabib's a legend, 29-0. I think he finished his career, which is so badass. I look at Floyd Mayweather, 50-0. Like it's so rare to finish undefeated, which I still have a chance to do. Khabib being in a corner. I mean, it doesn't really matter who's in your corner. Like you're fighting the dude across from you. So, I mean, it'd be, I guess, cool just like to see Khabib. Khabib seems like a nice guy.
Mm-hmm. And then, have you started to run into yet of any things that you don't like about being famous? Obviously, the SWAT team showing up to your personal house is pretty crazy. But is there other parts about the fame that you've come to learn that you don't enjoy?
Nothing's too bad. It's nice. You got Instacart now. You call, you just get have someone pull up, bring groceries to your house. That's nice. So I don't really have to go to the grocery store. Not that I don't like going to the grocery store, but sometimes I'm like, partly my fault. Look at me. I got colorful hair. I got face tattoos. You go in there, people want to take pictures. They're like, oh, it's just easier not to. So sometimes not going to the public, like, I could take a few pictures, not that big of a deal. But for whatever reason, you make it up in your head. You're like, man, I don't really want to go out right today. Like, just want to go to, I don't really go to coffee shops and just sit down by myself anymore, which is, again, not that big of a deal. But little things like that were fun. And I still, like I said, I still could. So it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, no, being famous, whatever. I mean, it's come with money. Money was kind of the goal. That's what I wanted. I wanted to make a lot of money, and so far, we're doing that.
Do you think it's harder to become a star these days than it is maybe even when Conor did it between 5 and 8 years ago? Do you think it's just more challenging?
It's almost easier now to become a star just because there's so many social media apps. You do one viral knockout, you're gonna get a good amount of eyeballs on you. You do 2 viral knockouts, you're damn near a superstar at that point. So I would say it's probably easier now to become a star.
That's interesting. And then I guess how close do you feel like you are to being if we're gonna say at some point Sean O'Malley was the biggest star in UFC history, how much further do we got to go? Like where are you on that gauge?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it could depends what you gauge that off of. Like it's hard to gauge. Like usually you kind of look at pay-per-view numbers, but right now it's like, you know, you do 500,000 pay-per-views. The other 500,000 was probably illegally streamed. It's so easy to stream fights right now that it's hard to judge someone's popularity off that alone. I think who would be able to actually have true, like, analysis data on that is probably, you know, the UFC team, like people in there to say who brought the most eyeballs, who brought the most excitement to fights. Like right now, it's Conor McGregor 100%. Like, he's a dork, but it's the truth. For me to get to that, you know, I go out there and knock out Merab. I go up to 45. I beat Eli. I beat Max. I beat Umar. Like, I'm 3 fights away from being considered one of the greatest of all time, one of the most exciting of all time. There's difference. No one thinks Conor's the greatest fighter of all time. Like, he was lacking skills. He lacked title defenses. But entertainment-wise, he's the best in the world. Entertainment-wise, he was the best. Greatest fighter of all time, John Jones, Khabib, Islam, up there. I want to be both. I want to be one of the greatest of all times and one of the most entertaining of all time. That's my goal.
Do you remember how you felt after Conor won his second title, and it just seemed like it was like, damn, dude, what can this guy accomplish in this sport? Did you have any kind of feelings like that after he did it in New York against Eddie?
You know, it was fun. I was just watching his career play out. I'm like, damn, his career's playing out perfectly. Like, for him to move up from 45 to 55 and be the bigger guy, he was bigger than Eddie Alvarez. If you told someone that didn't know, who do you think moving up a weight class? You'd be like Eddie. Mm-hmm. And to see, like, if me and Ilya fought, like, it'd be the same thing. People would be like, oh, this guy's moved, like, Ilya's moving up. So I feel like there's a lot of similarities there to where, like, I feel like our path, like when I knocked out Aljo, when he knocked out Aldo, it was very similar. Like, we've had similar career paths, but for him to go up there and do that to Eddie, you know, it was inspiring. I was like, damn, like, that's sweet. Mm-hmm. That, you know, to win the belt at 45, not even defend it, go up to 55, win the belt at 55, not even defend it, like, it's kind of cool. Like, the way he did it, it's cool, but, and it was still a question. He never really got tested. I don't know if tested is the right word, but it was like, yeah, we're like, what can he do? Can he move up to 170? Can he beat Tyron Woodley? Like, those were the questions at the time. I think he fought Nate after that, and Nate, I don't want to say exposed him. Nate was a lot bigger, but it was like made Conor look more human.